Well, hello. It's a warm November day here in Israel, in Tzur Hadassah, on the Friday of Parshas Toldos. And Toldos, here's the thing. I see Toldos as the beginning of the evolution of the modern Jew. Maybe not even the modern Jew. Let's forget I said that. Without deleting this whole video, I just want to say the beginning of the evolution of what it means to be a Jew. Now, I wish that I was so famous that I had a lot of anti-Semites watching this. I doubt that I do. But in case you are an anti-Semite watching this, I want you to know that you'll probably get some good material here. Here's how it goes. Toldos starts off with Yitzchak. Yitzchak has a child. Yitzchak's child is named Yaakov. Right now, excuse me. Hold on. Again, I should delete the video. I'm not going to. Yitzchak has two children. What am I saying? Yitzchak has two children, twins, Yaakov and Esav. When Yaakov and Esav are in their mother's womb, Rivka has this crazy experience when she goes past a place of holiness. Then one kid wants to get out and like pushes on her belly and tries to get out. And when she goes past the place of idol worship, another kid tries to get out. And she goes, the Rashi relates a famous story. She goes to the Yeshivat Shem Ve'ever, to the seminary, and she asks, like, what's going on here? And they say, there are two nations in your womb. Shnei goyim bevidnech, shnei leumim mime'ayich yiparedu, and they will grow into two nations after they leave the womb. As they grow up, they will grow into two nations. Now, interestingly, okay. So anyway, let's just go back. Right. So Rivka's pregnant, two kids, twins, a lot going on. She's really disturbed. She's like, what the hell is this? But she gets this answer. The kids are fine. She gives birth, and first out comes Esav, and Esav is a hairy beast. He's like you see like some kids come out and they've got a full head of hair and it's like impressive, right? Esav comes out, his whole body is full of hair and it's red. So Esav comes out, and Yaakov comes out holding on to Esav's heel. Heel in Hebrew is Akev, and because of that, Yaakov is named Yaakov, connected to the word Akev. There's a lot here. I imagine Yaakov holding on to Esav's heel in some sort of struggle, right? Like he's not holding on to Esav's heel like in a nice way. He's holding on to Esav's heel like they duked it out in the womb, and Esav got there first because Esav's like kind of like stronger, but Yaakov's like right behind him and is like, you bastard, you're not going anywhere without me. So anyway, they come out. Esav's first, Yaakov is second. Now, it says that they actually grew up pretty similar, but as children that they were pretty similar. But as they grew up, it became clear that they really divert and fork off. Esav is a man of the field. He's a hunter. He's a big guy. He's hairy. He's intense. He likes doing all sorts of things like murdering and pillaging and stuff like that. That's Esav. That's the Esav kind of behavior. Yaakov, as the pasuk says, Yaakov ish tam yoshev ohalim. Yaakov is an ish tam, and he sits in the tent. What does ish tam mean? Rashi says something fascinating. Rashi says tam, the word tam, which basically means simple. Rashi says tam means he didn't know how to lie. Get it. Listen close. Yaakov doesn't know how to lie. Yaakov's a simple guy. I'm going to pause here for a moment and just talk about Avram and Yitzchak for a second. Avram, Yaakov's grandfather. Yitzchak, Yaakov's father. We know from the holy books, Abraham is connected to the midah of chesed, kindness. Yitzchak is connected to the midah of gevura, the attribute of strength, of discipline. And it occurs to me that it's a little bit similar to what the holy books say about how God created the world. God first created a world that was total kindness, and it tanked, totally failed. Okay, fine. Then God creates a world of total gevura, discipline, boundaries, big boundaries, tanks, not good. Then God creates a world that is a mixture, tiferet, the mixture that in between. When you look at a model, the diagram of the sefirot, the thing in between chesed and gevura, the balance there, tiferet, which we could translate as beauty, but it's really this balance of beauty between kindness and boundaries, kindness and discipline. Which, by the way, if you're a parent, strongly recommend, right? Find that balance between kindness and discipline. It's very important. But anyway, Yaakov, so we know that Abraham is chesed, kindness. Yitzchak is gevura, discipline. Yaakov is tiferet. Yaakov is this mixture. But at this point in the story, when the Torah calls Yaakov Ish Tam Yoshev Ohalim, he's a simple guy. He sits in the tent. Rashi says Tam means he doesn't know how to lie. What a fascinating concept. Yaakov is such a simple guy. He doesn't know how to lie, right? He's simple. He's like, oh, whatever, maybe even a little bit nebach, right? He doesn't know how to he doesn't know how to be savvy, right? We know how to be savvy. I'm gonna interrupt this and tell you a quick story. We'll see how long the memory in my phone runs. So I'm a therapist. If you don't know, now you do. I'm a therapist, and many years ago I worked in a jail, and in order to get credentialed to be able to go in and out of the jail by myself without being escorted by a deputy the whole time, we had to do what's called an integrity interview. And in the integrity interview, a cop basically interviews me to see if I have integrity. I think I have integrity. I'm a pretty integritous guy. I'm sure that's not a word, but we'll go with it. Anyway, somebody in my team told me, whatever you do in the integrity interview, if he asks you about drugs, don't admit to taking drugs, because if you do, you'll fail the integrity interview. They don't want druggies going in and out of the jail. That's fair, right? So basically, in the integrity interview, before the interview, the cop asked for contact details for my family and friends, and he ostensibly before the interview called up different family members and friends to ask them about me, to get a sense of who I am, right? But also to get stories about me. My understanding, maybe that's a little paranoid, but I think this is the point, to get stories about me so that he could then ask me about them and see if the details mesh correctly. So anyway, comes time for the integrity interview. He asks me different questions. I say, yeah, I shoplifted candy one time, and okay, whatever. I think he's basically pretty bored of me and my story. I think I have a really interesting life. Turns out I'm not much of a criminal. He was bored. He was actually even falling asleep in the integrity interview. Maybe he had a baby like me, because God help us, I know I fall asleep sometimes. Okay, so then he asks me this crazy story. This is very early in my career. And this is a couple of years prior to this event. I took my first edible. I don't have to go into more detail what edible means, even though it's legal in Colorado. It's illegal in other places. I'm not going to get into it. I had my first edible, and it was a shit show in such a profound way. I was horribly paranoid for 10 hours. It sucked balls. It was just a miserable experience. Okay. And so fast forward back into the integrity interview. This edible experience was a couple years prior to this. In the integrity interview, the cop says to me like this: did it ever happen that one time maybe a friend of yours gave you an edible, let's say just hypothetically, and maybe you ate that edible and maybe you had a horrible experience, paranoid, the whole thing, right? And I'm thinking, geez, he's telling me this hypothetically, but he's hitting all the details of the story. And I had given him the information of the guy who had given me the edible, back then 2 years ago. So maybe he got this story. I'm thinking to my head, what should I do? On one hand, my colleague said, don't admit doing drugs because you won't pass the integrity interview. On the other hand, here he is. He's asking me exactly this story. And I think about it, and he says, did that ever happen to you? And I look him straight in the eyes and I say, no, it never, ever happened. I don't know what you're talking about. Fine. I get a call a couple weeks later. I pass the integrity interview, no problem. So why do I tell you this story? Because working in a jail is working with a ton of people who are smart and have nothing better to do with their lives than figure out how to game the system, figure out how to manipulate the staff in the jail. The inmates are looking to figure out how to manipulate the staff in the jail so that for their benefit. And you know what? If I was an inmate, I would do the same thing. I totally get it. So why did I pass even though I lied? Here's my theory. I've never gotten this verified by a cop, but this is my theory. My theory is that I had to know how to lie. Because if I'm like so innocent and so like naive, then these inmates are going to walk all over me. I got to know how to be savvy. I got to know how to like work it, you know? So I think that's pshat. I think that's why I passed the integrity interview, even though I lied straight to the cop's face. I lied to him. But I think that's why I passed the integrity interview, because it was not only checking my integrity, it was also checking to see how savvy I am, right? So Yaakov, our forefather, the one from whom we turned from a family into a nation. Yaakov has the 12 Shvatim, the 12 sons who end up becoming the tribes, right? Yaakov's sons end up becoming the tribes and become the nation of Israel. Right? So this is really important. So Yaakov's origin is he doesn't know how to lie. And then two things happen. Number one, Esav comes in. They're probably, I don't know how old they are. Somebody who knows Torah better would know how old they are. They're probably in the early 20s, late teens, something like that. Yaakov is there. He's stirring up lentil soup for his father. Why? Because his father is in mourning for his father. Yitzchak is mourning Avram. Avram has died. Yitzchak is in mourning. And Yaakov is making lentil soup from his father. That is the kind of thing that a simple young man does for his father. Esav is out there hunting and pillaging and murdering and doing his thing. Esav comes home and he sees Yaakov stirring the pot, stirring, gentle, sweet, simple, stirring the lentils. And Esav comes in and he says, Yaakov, I'm starving, I'm hungry, I'm gonna die. Give me some lentils. And Yaakov is stirring. He thinks about it. He says, okay, I'll make a deal. I'll give you some lentils if you give me the birthright. I want you to sell me the birthright for some lentils. And Esav's like, fuck the birthright. I don't care about stupid birthright. Just give me the lentils, baby. I'm hungry. It says Esav felt like he was about to die. Maybe he was about to die. He needed the lentils. Forget the birthright. Who cares about the birthright? I don't care. I'm all about this world and the geschmack things in this world. I don't need no birthright. So he says, take the birthright. I'll take the lentils. Yaakov gives him the lentils. The transaction was done. Yaakov gets the birthright. Now, whether or not Esav really bought into this or not, it seems clear that Esav actually does value the birthright. But anyway, we'll continue the story very briefly. We'll stop here. Little while later, Yitzchak is going to die. I don't know how much longer. I don't know the chronology. Ask somebody smart. Look it up. And Yitzchak says, it's time for me to bless my boys. Yitzchak doesn't know about this thing that Yaakov bought the birthright. Yitzchak tells Esav, who's the oldest, by just a minute, but still the oldest. Yitzchak tells Esav, go get me some food. Go hunt me an animal. Because Esav had impeccable kibudav. Esav honored his father impeccably and was rewarded for it. And so his father tells him, go get me an animal. Esav says, right on the double, sir, on the double. And he goes out to hunt. And in the meantime, Rivka, the mother of Yaakov and Esav, she knows that Yaakov is meant to have the birthright. Maybe she even knows that Yaakov bought the birthright for the lentils. And she gets Yaakov and she teaches him how to lie. And Rivka's brother, Lavan, is the biggest liar around. Rivka knows how to lie. Rivka grew up in the house of liars. And she teaches Yaakov, this simple little boy, simple, sweet Ziskite. She says, Yaakov, man, you got to learn to lie. You want to make it in this world? Chick-chack. You got to learn how to work it, how to be savvy, how to manipulate a little bit. And she teaches him, and she tells him, put on some fur on your arms, so that when your father, because Yitzchak was blind, the commentaries say Yitzchak went blind because the malachim, the angels, cried, and at the Akedah, at the binding of Yitzchak, the angels cried, and the tears went into his eyes and blinded him. So it says Yitzchak was blind, and so she says, okay, put on some fur on your arms, because when you go in for the blessing, your father, Yitzchak, he's going to feel you to see if you're Esav, because we know Esav is hairy. So, but Yaakov is smooth. Yaakov is like no hair. So he puts some wool, something like on his arms, and he goes in and he brings food. Rivka prepared food. She gives Yaakov the food, and she tells him, go in, bring this food to your father, and go get your birthright. And I don't remember if she tells him to say that he's Esav or if he gets it. Anyway, go look in the verses, you'll see it. Anyway, Yaakov goes into Yitzchak and he says, Abba, here's your food. I'm here for my bracha, for the birthright of the firstborn. And Yitzchak has says this amazing line. He's like, and so Yitzchak, reaches out and touches Yaakov, and he says, the voice is the voice of Yaakov, but the hands are the hands of Esau. I don't know what that means exactly, and I'm not going to analyze it too hard, but I wonder if there's some element of it is at this moment the integration of the sweet innocent boy and into the intensity and the murderous intensity of Esau. Right? But this is Yaakov's first major lie. Now we already know Yaakov is like learning to be a little manipulative because he got what's it called? Because he bought the birthright from Esau, so that's already a little bit manipulative. But anyway, he says, Abba, here's the thing, I want my bracha. And sure enough, Yitzchak gives him the blessing of the firstborn. Yaakov lies to get the blessing. Yaakov learns to lie and be savvy and manipulate in order to get what he needs. And to me, this is the beginning of what a Jew is. We are both sweet and innocent and just there to serve God and just there to connect to the world and to each other and make the world a better place. And we gotta lie. Sometimes we gotta lie and be crazy to get shit done. The pagers in, the Syrian pagers, the Hezbollah pagers. That is a total manipulative liar move. But we have to do it. That's how we survive. It goes on. We'll see more of this later. Shabbat Shalom.